Hey there, blade lovers. We are back. Yes, OG Blade Reviews with you once again. And for those that don't like me showing stickers, sorry about that. Too bad. I'm still acquainting people with the new name. Used to be This Old Sword, now OG Blade Reviews. That is done. And now, what have we got on the table today? But I'm going to give you a hint. You saw it in the thumbnail. I know you know what you're looking at. Why am I hiding it? Well, once again, we have a Ken Onion design. Once again, it's in a nice box. So kind of like the Kunwu knives that I reviewed recently. I like the packaging. So we're going to do a little bit of unboxing here. And if I can figure out where the flap is, there we go. Another magnetic box. This is unusual for Columbia River. Now, it is a Columbia River branded knife. There's the pouch. But this is made by none other than Hogue in the U.S.A. So 100% a U.S. knife. Haven't bought a Columbia River knife in a long time. So here's some nice sticker that we get. And here is some packaging and an info card. So there's your info card. And I'm going to give you more specs from their on-screen website info. But nice packaging. What can I tell you? I like nice packaging. If I keep the packaging, it makes a nice presentation. If I sell the knife, the new owner is going to maybe enjoy it a little bit more. So there's a nice long zippered pouch because we have a long knife. There's also a nice microfiber cloth that's branded with CRKT or CRKT. For those that are big Columbia River fans, I used to shorten that into cricket, and a lot of people took great offense. So I won't mention that, okay? We're going to open it up and talk a little bit, giving you some info from the Columbia River website. Old West character meets modern utility. The Redemption is based on legendary knife maker Ken Onion's Deadman's Hand Custom, a tribute to the knives carried by the outlaws and poker players of the Wild West, and named after the aces and eights hand Wild Bill Hickok purportedly held at the time of his death. The Redemption brings this classic folder into the modern age and Ken's first Columbia River knife to incorporate a crossbar lock. Made in the USA in collaboration with Hogue Knives, it uses CPM Magnacut steel for incredible strength and edge retention. And I'm going to bring up the specs for you in just a moment, also from the website. So rather than type them out and put them up on the screen for you, I'm going to be lazy today and just show you what they are showing me. However, in the meantime, let's take a look at what we've got here. As far as the Magnacut goes, it is made by Hogue, and I know Hogue does some very nice tempering of their steels. So although I don't see anything stated anywhere as to the HRC, the Rockwell hardness of this Magnacut blade, I can only think that it is well above 60 based on some of the other Hogue knives. And if you know anything more specific than that, please let me know. Now, one thing I've noticed in picking this knife up recently from the Knife Center, by the way, and it's going for around $2.25. I think well worth it, and probably a little less than some Chinese knives with the same materials, which is nice to see. Made in the USA by Hogue. We have a stainless steel bolster. I noticed that this bolster was faceted and somewhat satiny in the knives I saw from about maybe 8 months ago. where some of the initial reviewers took a look at this knife. It is now a bead blast. So I kind of like the other bolster better. Here's the other thing about the bolster is that I think that the stainless they're using is like a 302 or 304, maybe a 416. I'm not sure. I'm not a metallurgist, as I've said many times before, but there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of magnetic draw as there is when you put a magnet on the blade, for instance. So I think with the bolsters, they're not using steel that's going to stain very much, and not even anything like a cutlery steel. So that's why I'm guessing it's like a 302 or a 304, which has a lot of nickel content and not a whole lot of iron content. Hence, you get a little magnetic draw, and it is a good alternative to something like nickel silver, which is going to be more expensive and will tarnish. Not rust, but tarnish. I have some custom knives with nickel silver bolsters. Nice ovals on the side that beckon some sort of maybe a laser etching or engraving, where you could personalize this knife. And I probably could have gotten it that way from the Knife Center, but I didn't want to really brand it in the event that, it ended up getting passed on to somebody else. It is a Dagger grind. It is a very long knife, and drum roll, here come the specs. So there you go. You can freeze frame that. There's your measurements. Blade length is 4.08 inches. Blade thickness is 3.84 millimeters. That's pretty exact, which is a 0.15 inches. Overall length opened is 9.19 inches or 233.38 millimeters. Like I say, decimal point exact to these guys. Closed length is 5.10 inches. And it weighs 4.9 ounces, just under 5 ounces, which is not bad at all for a ginormous long knife. Handle material G10 with stainless steel bolsters, and it is a folding knife with a crossbar lock. I think that pretty much gives you what you're looking for in terms of the specs, I would hope. It is a wide open, well, I was going to say wide open construction, not completely. We have what appears to be a G10 backspacer, mainly near the pommel, and it is nicely jimped, is grippy. And we've got this jimping inside the steel liner, I'll call it, which holds the lock bar mechanism. And it is nicely jimped. You actually get some good drag there for your thumb. You may not want to put your thumb on the back, although it's not sharpened. It's sharpened only on one edge. It's pretty defined. And I ran across at least one person who actually sharpened it here. So when we close it up, you're going to see that you have that belly of the blade protruding proud above the handle. Maybe not. Well, certainly enough. I mean, if you really go even, flush on, it's just under the surface of the handle. But you can easily, if you sharpen that, run your finger across it or your pocket fabric material and get some cuts there. So I wouldn't recommend sharpening it, but I know some of you look at that double edge or that dagger grind and say, oh, that's got to get sharpened. So you do. One thing I noticed about the crossbar lock is if we just, and by the way, the only way to open the knife is to pull back on the crossbar and gravity open it. So it could be construed as a gravity knife in some jurisdictions. You just never know. As far as how this bar lock works, it's quite smooth. One thing I did notice is if I swing it out with force like that and then attempt to disengage the bar lock, there is a fairly significant stick. which means when you use that amount of energy on the blade, the bar lock is moving further along the tang of the blade and locking up very, very tight. That's not to say that it isn't tight when you just swing it open. It's just a vault. It is solid as can be. Very nice construction. But if you're prone to flipping the blade open hard, you may find that it needs to wear in just a little bit, or you might need to lubricate it in order to prevent that lock stick. But just doing this, and I can use either my index finger or my thumb or both, I have no problems, no stick whatsoever when releasing it, okay? So normal opening, come on. Normal opening like that, there is no stick. But hard opening, the bar lock tends to walk a little further forward. Because these bar locks typically use omega springs, the interesting thing is I did not see any spare springs that came along with this. So if you break a spring for any particular reason, then you're going to probably need to send it back or talk to Hogue. There's the spring right there about getting spares. You can't really see them too well. You know, it might be a different construction. I personally, at this very moment, looking at that for the first time, really can't tell. There is some weight relieving on the inner liner, if you want to call it that. It's hidden. So there is steel running all the way up underneath the G10 handle. That's not what I wanted to bring out. I wanted my magnet. Crossing the thoughts over. Old guy problems. So yeah, I mean, that's a steel liner underneath there. But it's completely hidden, and we've got some very attractive G10 that they used with a nice weave that shows it's smooth. It's not too draggy. It's not particularly grippy. And there is a beautiful elephant in the room. I don't know if we call it elephant in the room or not. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Is a deep carry short pocket clip. And I've heard other reviewers as well as myself say that that is a really smooth in and out of the pocket clip. So it's discreet for a knife this size. It is switchable because of the blank they put in, the plate they put in over here. Take that out. There's 2 screw holes underneath it, I would assume. And you switch the, you take that plate out and you basically put it on this side. Very nice job, very neatly done. Very smooth transition here. You can't feel it at all with this little inlay here. I assume that's like a stainless steel inlay to match the bolster. There are 1, 2, 3 screws holding the handle slabs on, so they are removable if you wanted to tinker with it. Got these nice Fuller style grooves running crosswise on the bolster. Again, the bolster has changed since the initial release, and it is now frosted stonewashed, not stonewashed, bead blasted. Blech, bead blasted. The blade is stonewashed, and we've got a perfect grind right down the middle. Columbia River Knife and Tool has their moniker there. And over here, for whatever reason, we don't have, and other people have mentioned this, there is no sign of the word Magnacut. However, it is Magnacut, as they have said in their literature and what came with the knife. But this appears to be a stock number. Why they would sully it up with a stock number there, I have no idea. I think maybe an ornate Magnacut there or right on the tang of the blade would be nice. But as I was saying, the grind is superb. I would say very even on both sides. And no sharpening choil. It just kind of gets sharpened right up to short of the plunge grind. It's fairly evenly done on both sides, but you may not like it when you need to resharpen it. Speaking of sharpening, I've seen cutting tests with this where it shows up both quite sharp, sharper than you would assume for a very short grind, and others where it's a little duller. So let's see what I got. Not bad, man. Whoa. I mean, that's Hogue putting a really nice sharpened bevel on their knives. And my paper isn't really cooperating. But yeah, it's as sharp as you can imagine it being for that short a bevel. But that's what you got. This is what it looks like in the hand. And yeah, I've got a good 1.5 inches remaining there. Because of the jimping here, you can put your thumb and you can cap it over the back, putting it into, and there's my edge. Very hard to tell where the edge is on this one. Putting the edge inward, I can use my pical. It's kind of a long knife for pical. We like to use a little shorter ones. I couldn't really see too many people using it that way. I think if a gambler is going to use it for defense, they're going to use it like this. True, no Killians, no guards, but that's the style that it is. If you use the James Williams technique, you palm it and push it through, and that braces the knife, and you have even a bit longer reach with it. Check out James Williams' use of his Tonto and Kaikens, punching him through like steel car doors and archery targets and whatnot. How about compare time? How about the Boker Pocket Smatch-It, designed by Chuck Gudradis? Got this back like a couple of years ago or more. Gave one with rosewood to Bob DeMarco as a birthday present. He loves it. And this thing is just as long, if not a bit longer, than the Redemption, and a heck of a lot taller. And there, hey, you got a guard. So if you want a faux double edge with a guard, there you go. And it's kind of a bayonet grind because we leave a little room here for that disc opener. And this is a real drop shutty knife. It's a liner lock. And I think this is out of a modest VG10 steel. Yep. By Boker. It was about a $100 knife. I think it was a special initially released by Blade HQ. Here's a Deadman knife with a guard and can be pocket opened, by the way. And this is another one that has a double grind and a very interesting faceted double grind. I think they may still make this. Again, the brand is Deadman, Stedemon. It's a 14C blade. There's your double Killians. And you can open it with the back flipper very easily. But also when this one is in the pocket, and it is a deep carry clip that I think is switchable, this becomes your hook. Pull it out of the pocket and snaps open. Kind of neat. That's a shorter knife, obviously, by a good 1.5 inches or so overall. And one more for compare. This is an interesting knife that didn't seem to really catch on. This is a Bestech Fin, F-I-N. And I think that's referencing the French word fin, which means the end. So with a dagger style knife, I think that would be more appropriate than fin as in a fish, but who knows the genesis of that is. Considerably shorter knife, but I like the grind on this with the fuller. Comes in a variety of handles and blades. There's a black blade with a black handle, so on and so forth. Very smooth on bearings. Liner locking knife with sort of a deep carry clip that's not switchable. The Fin, F-I-N, by Bestech, another dagger style. And now just for compare, of course, the Rat 1's got to get its way into the picture. And the Rat 1, unfortunately, is falling a little short this time, about an inch short overall. And yeah, about half an inch or so shorter on the blade. Over a 4-inch blade on this knife, sharpened edge a little less. And coming in under 5 ounces for a knife this length. It is light, very light. Balance right there where you see those 2 grooves across the bolster. Well, I think that covers it for the Redemption, designed by Ken Onion, made by Columbia River Knife and Tool. I'm going to get hate mail on that one. Columbia River Knife and Tool, CRKT, and made, OEM'd by Hogue Knives, USA made. Hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. I will be back with you soon. OG Blade here.